Thank you very much indeed, members. I welcome you to this extraordinary meeting of the Council this evening. In view of the fact that we've had a recess and some people may have left, or indeed some may have joined us, I shall go through the usual procedures. Fire evacuation procedure. If the fire alarm is activated, please vacate the offices via the stairs, either through the security doors to my right or opposite the lifts in the foyer. Please do not use the lifts. Please assemble in Hawley Square on the green. Officers will assist you and advise when it is deemed safe to return to the chamber. Webcasting of proceedings. The proceedings of this meeting will be recorded and subsequently broadcast on the internet. Filming of the meeting. I would advise that if filming takes place, anyone in attendance in the public areas may have their image captured. I urge anyone filming proceedings to avoid filming members of the public, particularly if there are children present. Does anyone intend to film the meeting? And we have two, I believe. Yes. Any member of the public who objects to the possibility of being filmed may wish to take this opportunity to leave the meeting. Any filming or recording will not be permitted for any item of business where exempt or confidential information is considered, following the exclusion of press and public from the meeting. Restriction on the use of mobile phones. Would everyone present please ensure that their mobile phone are turned to silent and they are not used to make or receive phone calls in the chamber while this meeting is in progress. I move straight on to agenda item 1, apologies for absence. I have had apologies from Paul Moore, Councillors Moore and Councillor Scott. Do I have any other apologies, please? Councillor Pugh.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Hart.
Any other apologies? Councillor Piper.
Councillor Brayford, Chair.
Any other apologies? Thank you very much indeed. Moving on to agenda item 2, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest this evening? I don't see anybody indicating. Agenda item 3, a notice of motion over the Leader of the Council. I call upon Councillor Piper to put his motion to Council.
Chairman, could I just ask for advice, please, from the legal department? Members, having read the agenda, will see that, for example, it says members will be asked if they wish to debate the matter, and if they don't, the motion falls at that point. I have been advised that that is incorrect, because the motion we brought was that Council holds a vote of no confidence in the current leader of Thanet District Council, and that can be done with or without debate. So could we please have some clarity from the monitoring officer?
I pass you over to the monitoring officer.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Piper. Yes, that is an error. So therefore, the matter can proceed whether or not it is debated or not.
Councillor Piper, do you wish to proceed with your motion?
Thank you, Chairman. I may not need the 3 minutes, but could I have my 13 seconds back, please? It's been quite rightly pointed out among individual members and also in the press that the motion as we brought it, that Council holds a vote of no confidence in the current leader of Thanet District Council, does leave the possibility of a rather unsatisfactory outcome. Members will by now be aware that were the leader to lose the vote, he wouldn't necessarily have to go. That would be very unusual, but he wouldn't necessarily have to go. So we would like to bring an amendment to that motion, adding the words, if the leader loses the vote of no confidence, Council resolves to remove him from office. So the full motion would be that Council holds a vote of no confidence in the current leader of Thanet District Council. If the leader loses the vote of no confidence, Council resolves to remove him from office. We'd like to bring the amendment, please.
Councillor Piper, you can't bring an amendment, however you can bring an alteration, which I presume is your intention here with that wording.
Thank you for that clarification, Chairman. I was following advice from the correct department within the Council, but I will accept your ruling.
Thank you very much indeed. I must... the monitoring officer would like to speak at this point.
Yes, I don't believe that particular motion or alteration would be lawful because you're making a conditional vote as well. So there should only be one vote. So I don't know if, with the Chairman's permission, with the Chairman's permission, Mr. Piper, Councillor Piper would like to approach the Chair to get advice on that particular motion. Yes, please. Yeah.
Councillor Piper, are you ready with your alteration?
Chairman, thank you. I would like advice to be given by the monitoring officer on the conclusion that has been reached and assurance that what I'm about to read out would not in any way adversely affect the ability to bring the original substantive vote before Council.
Councillor Piper, you have been here, you have been at the top bench, you've spoken at length with the monitoring officer. I did overhear what was said. It was very clear. I'm not sure there's very much more he can add. Does he wish to?
No, so the process now will be Councillor Piper will propose an alteration and Council will then have a choice to either accept that alteration or not accept that alteration. If it doesn't accept the alteration, the original motion becomes the main motion.
Thank you very much indeed. Councillor Piper, would you like to proceed then?
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you to the monitoring officer. Been advised to alter the motion to read that Council holds a vote of no confidence in the current leader of Thanet District Council and removes him from office. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Piper. Members, there is the alteration to the motion. Could I have a vote? Those in favour, those who are against the alteration. Councillor, yes, you're voting. Please, first of all, could I have those in favour of the alteration? That is. And those against the alteration? And can I have abstentions, please? I have one abstention. Councillor Bailey. Councillor Piper, your alteration has been included within the main motion. Would you now like to speak to your motion, your substantive motion?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's an old naval tradition that the captain always goes down with the ship, and history provides us with many examples of extreme courage shown by great leaders. As the RMS Titanic drifted inexorably towards her ultimate demise, having received a fatal wound below decks, the orchestra gathered on the main deck and played Nearer My God to Thee. In that instant, a group of ordinary people showed extraordinary courage and sacrificed their own desire for personal survival in favour of bringing comfort to others. I don't suppose it was easy. I dare say most people on the ship had no idea why it was in so much trouble. Then gradually the awful truth dawned on them as the inevitable panic set in when realisation the ship was floundering out of control hit home. A tragedy that could not be avoided befell the passengers and crew. Last spring, a group of politicians decided enough was enough, and the council leader owed then a debt of honour to those who'd elected him and his team. Leader, you know the rest. He eventually took the only honourable way out and got into a lifeboat. You were gifted control of this council and you set about steering the ship. Your early promises were met. The local plan indeed went out for consideration and seems to be making steady progress in choppy waters. The DCO application by River Oak got the one more chance it needed to try and save the airport and bring jobs and an economic future for Thanet one step closer. They did not disappoint either. They too seem to be making good progress through choppy waters. It would be crass, Leader, to suggest you have had no success during your term at the helm. It would be grossly unfair. What would not be unfair, though, is to ask what went wrong. It all started so well, a bit like that trip across the Atlantic Ocean in the famous ship. How sad it was to find out many years later the ship was in fact doomed before it left the port. I am not here to trawl through a list of near misses and ongoing hazards, and I'm aware I need to be very careful about alleging specific actions or lack of. Others must decide for themselves whether the list of ongoing near misses matter enough for them to gather together to try and bring comfort to others. But, Leader, you have made promises you simply have not kept. Even the feasibility study on the port, at best, is going to be later than you promised. These things have happened while you've been watch commander on this ship. Mortal blows have been struck to the reputation of this council. And our biggest concern is that you have failed in your duty to enhance the reputation of this council among the people we are here to serve. I assure you our concerns arise from within and not from without this council, but however, Leader, what if they were? We have no right to pour scorn on people and their voices and their influence outside this council. They have a voice which deserves to be respected, listened to and communicated with. At least the radio operator aboard the Carpathian was listening. Even
Can you
though
wind up
it
now,
was
Councillor
far
Piper?
too far away to do any good.
In accordance with the Council Procedure Rule 3.7, a member of the Council... yes, first of all, have you got a seconder, Councillor Piper? Councillor Potts. In accordance with the Council Procedure Rule 3.7, a member of the controlling political group is entitled to reply. I call upon the Leader.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm bound to say that Councillor Piper is entitled to his opinion, and indeed this council tonight will decide whether my tenure as leader continues or stops. What I would say, though, is that I think that criticism of this council, by and large, comes from a fairly narrow strata of the Thanet community. A strata that actually is led by somebody that puts up some of the vilest things that I've ever seen appearing on Facebook, and that some people who don't actually examine the truth of some of the things that are included in there choose to believe. I don't believe that the vast majority of people in Thanet do actually think that this council is in the state that you think it is, Councillor Piper. And in fact, no, I'm sorry, I honestly believe that your actions tonight are extraordinarily personal. They're aimed solely at me, and for reasons that I'm not quite sure. I gave you the opportunity to actually offer some stability to this council, which you chose to ignore right at the start of this. Yeah, no, absolutely did. And the fact is that you know, you chose not to do that. So we're in a situation, we're in a minority council, and as I said earlier, I've done my best where possible to actually steer a course where as many members can get involved as they possibly can. The fact is that this is a really strange motion, because normally somebody moving a motion of no confidence and a removal of the leader is heading up a party that's seeking to take control. Now, patently, you can't do that, so your motive must be to either choose the leader of this Conservative group, or you wish to see Councillor Everett as leader of this council. Yeah, I'd like to know which one is most important to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, Leader. Yes, point of order, Councillor Campbell.
Couldn't the Monitor Officer explain, if this motion is successful, who then leads the council, or what process will take place to determine who will lead the council?
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. I turn to the Monitoring Officer.
Yes, were the council to remove the leader from office, we would immediately have to move to appointing a new leader by vote at this meeting.
Do members wish to debate Councillor Piper's motion? Councillor Everett.
I'm going to speak to the motion, yes? All right, okay. Well, I'm grateful that we've had the alteration to the motion, and the Labour Group's happy to debate that motion. Because I have to say to Councillor Piper, I've no idea why he brought the motion in the form that he did, and I've no idea why he called an extraordinary council to do it, because he could have done it at this evening's ordinary council. A motion of no confidence on its own is neither here nor there. What Councillor Piper had tried to do was arrange a showdown, a shootout at high noon with Councillor Bayford, but he brought a water pistol. Now we have a motion that we can give proper consideration to. But I do note that Councillor Piper had the opportunity to choose this leader of this council in May, when the vote was tied between myself and Councillor Bayford and was decided on the casting vote of the chair, but Councillor Piper's group chose to sit on their hands. And I do wonder about the motivation of some of the people on Councillor Bayford's backbenches, but that's not a matter for me. The Labour group does not want to play political games with this council. We recognise the need for stability. We will vote tonight to replace Councillor Bayford because we believe that Labour has the policy and the people to make this council work better for the people of Thanet. We also have the humility to recognise that councils... We also have the humility to recognise that the council's problems are not all about one person. The council faces formidable challenges, of which the biggest is deprivation, shortage of jobs, shortage of homes, and yes, streets that are too dirty in too many places. It also faces crippling cuts in government funding, another reason why this council should not be led by the Conservatives. Putting Labour in the driving seat can, we believe, provide better leadership, but it won't solve everything. If we run the council, we will do so in a collaborative way, because that's our instinct, but also because it's a necessity because of the numbers, and members can work that out for themselves. We will work closely with the Green councillors, but we will work with every councillor in every party because we have all been elected by the residents. Where I do support Councillor Piper is believing that Thanet deserves better, so I urge everyone to vote for change tonight.
Thank you, Councillor Everett. Do I have any other speakers this evening? Councillor Yates.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be brief as I can. I do take exception that only one spectrum of political parties do not have confidence in the leader. I am quite a new councillor, but Councillor Bayford is a councillor of long experience, but he has let go of the steering wheel. In Margate Central alone, which is from my experience as a new councillor, we have had the failings of East Kent Housing, which has been mentioned tonight. We've had the U-turn over firing multiple tourist staff, which are so critical to our local tourist economy. We have had the £1 rental of the Harbour Arm in Margate. We have had empty shop fronts under Arlington House as tourists come into Margate. This could be stopped because TDC has the right to enforce a lease that states these shops must be kept open, and they're not doing that. And in this building alone, we have allegations and accusations of all sorts and legal issues, allegations which I won't go into, but this needs to change. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Yates. Does anyone else wish to speak this evening? Councillor Stevens.
Yes, I just want to pick up on the point about stability, and I echo those thoughts. It's desperately what we need, but we are in danger, if we go through with this, of having a 6-month yo-yo system where, you know, if Labour were to get voted in, we could then have another vote of no confidence, and then it's, it's our turn, and I'm not sure that actually benefits Thanet as a whole. I mean, I take on board the points that Councillor Everett was saying about, you know, working collaboratively, and that is something that I've championed even before I got elected, so I feel that's very important. But I don't necessarily, well, I obviously don't agree that having a Labour Party is the solution, because we could be in exactly the same boat in 6 months' time, and that worries me enormously. For me, that's not a political thing, it's just a statement that worries me for the good of the community. So, you know, I wanted to make that point. Thank you.
Councillor Game, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to really address this to Councillor Piper. First of all, I wondered why he brought this motion forward. I did wonder whether he'd fallen in love with Labour. Obviously he has. I don't think they're really in love with him, but they will use him. I'm sure they will use him. I actually believe that you're doing this because external influences are interfering here. And I think that is shameful. I also think it's shameful for you to criticise the leader as you do. And I wonder what illusions you've suddenly got. Did you really think that you could become leader? I just say shame on you.
Thank you, Councillor Game. Councillor Constantine.
I can't comment on Councillor Piper's motives, but what I can say is that it is going to be very difficult to achieve stability in this council, and the reason it's going to be difficult to achieve stability in this council is because of the concept of cognitive dissonance. And we're living really through very hard times created by austerity, which is a choice forced upon the local population and forced upon every single councillor in this room. And I think what Labour can do is I think we can manage the council services better, and I think we can point out very clearly why we're in this mess that we're in. And what is that mess? It's absolutely filthy streets. It's absolutely overflowing bins, especially during the summer, during the tourist season. It's about the homeless that we see on the streets everywhere. Everywhere you go, any town, any beach, any street, you are seeing homeless people. This is a very sad indictment of both this council but also about the Tory administration. We've seen rough sleepers, people contacting you because they're sleeping in the back of a car or sleeping in a shed or sleeping in a tent, as I say, a family of 8. We've seen the catastrophe of dangerous buildings. We can't go on like this. This is why I think Labour will lead this council better, and Labour have to now be given the opportunity to do that, because we will genuinely put the residents first, and we will genuinely put the workers of this council first as well.
Thank you very much. Councillor Shrub.
Thank you. Right, can I just ask, who has the quality and knowledge, the background and the high level of experience in this room to run the council as Councillor Bayford? Put your hand up if you think you can do the job.
Thank you, Councillor Shrub. Councillor Alban.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I don't wish to be frivolous, but if we're given a gift horse, we're not going to look it in the mouth. Thank you.
Councillor Bayford.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I think it's quite obvious the way things are going to go now, but the fact is that I sincerely hope if Labour do land up in control here that they can do all the things they say. I've got to say that when you actually look at the budget and things that are available to you, then, well done. What I have got to just come back, though, because I'm sorry, I do believe this is personal. I think this is Councillor Piper really having a go at me. And I'd mind less if I thought that it was him doing it of his own volition. We know that he operates solely at the beck and call of his puppet master up in Ramsgate. And Councillor Piper, I'm sorry, regardless of what happens to me, I do think that you are a disgrace to this council, and for you to actually bring about,
I think we need to calm down a bit, please. Everyone, can we calm down a bit? Thank you very much. Councillor Townend.
Yeah, I'd like to echo, thank you, Chairman. I'd like to echo Councillor Stevens' approach. The stability is now moved in such a way there's going to be totally no stability. And is that what we're actually trying to achieve tonight? I don't believe we are. I don't believe that the Labour group will do any better than what we do. And I think that what we have achieved over here, we have achieved an awful lot more stability than I think you ever will. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Townend. Councillor Wing.
As a newly elected councillor, I find all this a bit shocking, actually, because we stood on a platform of honest, open, transparent politics. And I would walked into a lion's den, actually, and I'm watching, if I can make a sporting analogy, two sumo wrestlers fighting it out. And that's not what we should be doing. 56 of us were elected by our residents. We're in extraordinary times that have been inflicted upon us. We're now in double figures of austerity, and I'm not going to blame the parties because I don't think it helps throwing mud at each other. What I'd like to see, and the Labour leader actually said we will work with the Greens. That's not going to work just working with the Greens. The 56 of us have got to represent our residents, and we've got to work together. So that means electing, in my opinion, or in our opinion, it means kinder politics. It's not throwing mud at each other in this room, which I find, if you were a classroom, half a dozen of you would be out of the room already. It means kinder politics to each other and also to our residents. It means listening to each other. It means information coming to people so that they can understand how decisions are being made. We need a strong leader, and I don't really care where that strong leader comes from, what political persuasion they are. And that strong leader's then got to have the courage, and I don't have the experience for this, but I can sort of see what's happening as a minority group just sat here. They need the courage to try and bring together a coalition cabinet of the strongest people in this room so that we can get ourselves out of this mess.
Thank you, Councillor Wing. Councillor Tomlinson.
Thank you, Chair. It's very unusual for me to stand up twice tonight before Council. One, I think, what I'm listening here, I've been one of the longer ones. We have many new people here tonight. I'm not saying that isn't a good thing. We have a lot of new, younger people, which again is an excellent thing. But hearing what's going on between professional men here tonight, I think it's a disgrace, absolute disgrace. It's been mentioned about, all right, everyone knows how I love Margate. Privileged to be the mayor of that town, as we have the mayor of Ramsgate here tonight as well. But hearing just now about Margate Seafront, Arlington House, all the shops around it. Now, all respect to Councillor over there, he's been here 2 years. Is it the council's fault, this group's fault, that is in such a state? No, it's the people who own it. And it's the same mention about buildings falling down. Is that the council's fault, the Conservatives, that building's falling down? Did we know it? No, it's no good, Rob, you're nodding your head because you haven't a clue. I'm sorry. I'm not normally rude at all. Sorry, Chair, but I'm getting, like other people, getting rather annoyed. It can happen to the Labour group. There's some lovely people I've got to know over here over the years, and I mean that. Same with the Conservative group. We should be working together. It's not a political organisation that when a building is tatty, yes, of course we can go along and say paint it up, but it doesn't belong to this authority, and on many occasions we don't have the authority to tell people to do that sort of work. Thank you, Chair.
And thank you, Councillor Tomlinson. Councillor Ashby.
Thank you, Chair. Well, where do I start? All I can say is that this isn't a vote of no confidence or even removal of the leader. This is the removal of the Conservative administration for this council. Yes, it is, Linda, because that is what will happen if it goes this way. You are handing the administration to Labour. All I can say is I'm a very apolitical person. I'm here for the people that voted us in, and we have worked, sorry, my cold is horrendous, but we have worked very hard in the time that I've been in Cabinet, and I can vouch for as a group and for the Cabinet, it's been a very, very hard work. And the last 6-8 weeks, 6-8 weeks have been exceptionally telling on certain members of the Cabinet here. So all I can say is be careful what you wish for.
Thank you, Councillor Ashby. Councillor Piper, would you like to wind up, please?
Thank you, Chairman. I'm going to ignore the personal insults because I didn't make any myself and there's no value in that. Councillor Everett said collaborative working. The job of independent councillors is to favour neither one side nor the other, but to give people an honest opportunity to do the best they can for the area which we serve and the people who engage us so to do. Rest assured, echoing the thoughts of Councillor Wing, a simple statement, well, we'll keep you in touch and so on, isn't going to cut it. We will hold the Labour group to that promise if they take over this administration. I did say our concerns are from within. I resent the allegation that they're not. And anyway, why shouldn't I trust these lovely people that you so eloquently described just now? Leader, I am sorry, but you have not sought to show that you are in control of this ship or even still at the wheelhouse, and you certainly don't appear to be listening. You, it is, who could have saved the Conservative administration, if that's the way the vote goes, simply by resigning. But you chose not to do that. This, Leader, is perhaps your own personal iceberg. This council is mortally, though not yet fatally wounded, and the purpose of our motion is to steady this ship. We believe you're not steering it, you're standing aboard a rudderless pontoon drifting on the tide. Thank you, Chairman.
Unfortunately, Councillor Bayford, I can't bring you back in at this point in the debate. We've had the winding up. I'd like to proceed to a show of hands at the moment. Can I first of all have all those who do not have confidence in the leader, please raise your hands. That is a substantive motion, yes.
Yeah, to clarify, it is the original motion with the alteration, to remove the leader from office.
So the motion under consideration is as follows: that Council holds a vote of no confidence in the current leader of Thanet District Council and removes the leader from office.
Right. On that basis, can I have a show of hands? All those who do not have confidence in the leader, please raise your hand. Thank you very much. All those who have confidence in the leader, please raise your hand now. Can I have abstentions? One abstention, Councillor Bailey. Members, that is carried. We now are in new territory. We do need nominations for leaders this evening from groups. Could I have them, please? Point of order, Councillor Constantine.
Could we have the numbers, please?
Against.
29 for and 20 against. 22 against, sorry, 22. 29, 22, with one abstention. Councillor Campbell.
I nominate Councillor Everett for Leader of the Council.
And seconded? Councillor Alban. Councillor Bambridge.
I was just wondering. I was just wondering if it's possible that, you know, like we could have a delay on that we could actually sort of like speak to our group to see if we could actually put up a leader here, that maybe we had a chance of actually winning this vote so we could continue our administration.
No, I think we're quite ready to proceed, actually. Thank you very much. Councillor Ashby.
Chair, I'd like to propose Councillor Bayford for leader.
Thank you very much, Councillor Ashby. Is that seconded? Yes, thank you very much, Councillor Game. Do I have any other nominations for leader? No. Right, can we proceed?
Sorry. I'd like to nominate Councillor Ashby.
Councillor Ashby, do you wish to accept the nomination? Councillor Ashby is indicating that she does not wish to accept the nomination. Councillor Bambridge.
Is it seconded?
Would it be seconded? Right, okay. So we've got...
You need to clarify.
Councillor Ashby has turned down the nomination, so we are left with the two candidates that we started with. We can proceed now on the basis. Could I have a show of hands in favour of Councillor Everett? Thank you very much. Can I have a show of hands in favour of Councillor Bayford? Can I have abstentions, please? Thank you. 2 abstentions. Members, we have a new leader. Councillor Everett is now leader of the council. And the numbers... Councillor Everett, would you like to appoint your deputy leader?
Councillor Helen Whitehead.
Thank you very much indeed. I believe... Councillor Bayford, you'd like to finish with a few words?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I'd like to thank members for having had the opportunity to lead this council for the time that I did. And I genuinely wish Councillor Everett good luck, because he's going to need it, that's for sure. And I do fear for the ongoing stability of this council, I really do. Hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I will be, particularly given some of the people in this chamber.
Councillor Everett.
Chair, I'd like to thank Councillor Bayford for his service as leader of this council and indeed as leader of the Conservative group over many years. We haven't always seen eye to eye, but I think that we've had an amicable relationship over most of that time. When I first came to this council, there was a real level of personal hostility between the Labour front bench and the Conservative front bench, which I think was thoroughly unhealthy. I don't think that's the situation today, and I hope it won't become the situation as a result of what's happened this evening. The Labour group did not bring this motion because we recognise that we have 20 members. It is difficult for us to run this council, but at the same time, we could not come here as councillors representing the Labour Party and not put ourselves forward to take over the leadership when given the opportunity. So I understand all the things that have been said. This is not a scheme that we have concocted with Councillor Piper or other groups. This is where we are tonight. We will try to work as collaboratively as we can with every member of this council, whatever group they were in. And as I said, I think the model tonight of the corporate objectives was an outstanding success that we worked together on, and I look forward to the Labour group working with the Conservative front bench, as well as all the other councillors in this chamber, for the good of the people of Thanet. We won't always get it right, but we will try our best.
Thank you very much, Councillor Everett. That concludes the business of this council this evening. Thank you very much to all members for attending.